There are many companies that have done a shady thing or two in order to earn a few extra bucks or increase their margins so they can appease their shareholders. But I don't think I've ever come across a company that's known for having participated in slave child labor, manipulation of the masses, stealing, pollution, false advertising, and many more terrible things that probably never came to light. The company that I'm referring to is Nestle, and I'm here to tell you why I think they may be one of the most evil corporations in modern times, and why we maybe shouldn't solely blame Nestle as a company, but also place some of the blame with the people who are supposed to prevent these sort of atrocities from happening. Hi, I'm your host Zari, and welcome to an Andrew and Zari video. Nestle started life as a revolutionary company in 1866 when Henry Nestle launched his Ferni Lacte, or flour with milk, in Switzerland. It was a simple yet brilliant product which used cow's milk, wheat flour, and sugar to produce a baby formula, developed to combat high infant mortality rates, and aimed to provide a solution for infants that could not be breastfed. Today, Nestle is the largest food company in the world, with products including baby food, bottled water, coffee, tea, chocolates, and many more. But that's about where the niceties end with Nestle, as they have proven time and time again that they care not for social well-being and will happily move its operations to places with more lenient regulations to enjoy more profits, no matter the social cost. As we mentioned in one of our past videos, water scarcity is a real issue. Billions of people around the world lack the means to safe drinking water, and many of these individuals live in countries that are already under severe economic strain. Water scarcity also destroys water ecosystems, and in some instances, the damage can be irreversible. For more information on water scarcity, please check out the video in the card above now. Nestle has only ever added to this problem, and you shouldn't expect any less from a company whose CEO has previously stated that water is not a human right. Nestle has been in the news a lot lately, obviously for the wrong reasons, as the drought-stricken California government has issued a cease and desist order to stop Nestle from illegally pumping out billions of gallons of water from the San Bernardino forest. It's been an ongoing battle between the local environmentalists and Nestle, who claim that they have the right to California spring water dating back to 1865. I found this a bit odd as Nestle was founded in 1866. Regardless, a 2017 investigation found that Nestle has been pumping out 25 times the amount of water it is allowed under a legal permit, which, by the way, Nestle has been without since 1988. The draft cease and desist order is still pending approval from the California Water Resource Control Board. This is not the first time Nestle has done something unethical in order to profit from their water business. In the small village of Bati Tilwan in Pakistan, locals have lost access to their clean water since Nestle moved in. Their wells have dried up and the water level has sunk several hundreds of feet as Nestle unsustainably pumps out water and deprives the local of their water source. The situation there is so dire that the locals are forced to drink unsafe sludge water in order to survive, something which is making them, especially children, very sick. It is estimated that dirty water like this claims more lives of children around the world than AIDS, war, malaria, and traffic accidents combined. On top of that, it may be shocking to hear that about half of the water in PET plastic bottles is actually just tap water. But of course, Nestle is not going to advertise that. Could you imagine? Nestle is currently in some legal trouble over exactly this and has previously been sued for this as well, which ended in Nestle paying $10 million in charitable donations, which may sound like a lot, but just for comparison's sake, $10 million to Nestle is equivalent to a $5 bill to someone who earns $50,000 a year. This so-called fine is essentially just a small operating cost to a company like Nestle. If you thought sludge water in Pakistani villages was the only way Nestle has harmed minors, think again. In the 1970s, Nestle moved their attention to Africa, and what unfolded was probably one of the most unethical acts of corporate greed. Nestle advertised its baby formula as being as good as breast milk, which is actually false advertisement as baby formula is known to lack the nutrients and antibodies a baby needs for brain and nerve development. But we won't get into that discussion as there are valid reasons why formula is used and it definitely serves a purpose. Anyway, Nestle would go on to advertise their product to uneducated families in poor regions of Africa, creating a massive marketing campaign which gave mothers free baby formula. But once all the mothers stopped naturally lactating, Nestle forced them to buy the inferior product at full price, creating a dependency on their baby formula in order to raise their children. Another important item they neglected to mention was that the water needed to be used with the baby formula had to be boiled, as most of these underdeveloped regions lacked the means to clean and save water. Mothers would use polluted water with Nestle's formula, putting their baby's life at great risk. UNICEF estimates that a formula-fed child living in disease-ridden and unhygienic conditions is between 6 and 25 times more likely to die of diarrhea and 4 times more likely to die of pneumonia than a breastfed child. Nestle's response to this evil act? Start advertising their bottled water along with the baby formula. Most people enjoy chocolate, but you might be surprised to learn that the chocolate trade is a dirty business which involves slave child labor on cocoa plantations in the Ivory Coast. Most of the world's cocoa comes from these farms, and most of the children working there are trafficked from nearby countries. Nestle is aware of this issue and has been for quite some time. After all, some of Nestle's best known products include chocolate. This issue involves the whole chocolate trade globally, and Nestle, along with Mars and Hershey, are currently facing a lawsuit by 8 individuals who worked on these plantations as children. In 2001, Nestle, along with the other chocolate producers, pledged to eradicate slave child labor on West African farms. They said they would be able to do this within 4 years. It's 2021, and Nestle, along with the other chocolate producers, say they can't track where the entirety of their cocoa comes from, and thus making this issue very tough to resolve. But you have to ask yourself, the chocolate industry is a $100 billion a year industry. All the big companies have spent about $150 million in the past 18 years to try to resolve the issue. That's 0.00008% of the total revenue over the past 18 years. And let's consider the fact that these companies probably were not making the same revenues they make today, 18 years ago. It's still the absolute bare minimum they could do to greenwash the public into thinking they're trying to resolve a very serious issue. Greenwashing to make your company seem more eco-friendly is becoming the norm amongst many big corporations. We would love to do a future video on this, so please comment below and let us know if this is something you would be interested to learn about. As I said in the beginning of this video, we can't solely blame Nestle for these issues. Yes, Nestle is a for-profit business and doesn't care if it steals your water or falsely advertises products in order to make a profit. But isn't that the job of the regulators to stop this kind of act from happening? A prime example of this is the current situation in California. Nestle has been extracting water for years without a permit. The cease and desist order is essentially meaningless because Nestle has asked for a permit extension, which costs them basically nothing. And even if the cease and desist order were to finally go through, the fine that will be implemented is $1,000 per day or $10,000 per day if a drought is declared. That's a maximum penalty of $3.65 million for the year, a tiny fraction of Nestle's $93 billion annual revenue. And as mentioned earlier, Nestle can just add that as a business expense and keep on going. As much as we all like to blame big corporations, and yes, they do deserve a lot of the blame, some of that blame needs to shift to regulators who make backdoor deals or turn a blind eye to a social issue because they are in some way benefiting from that company or can't be bothered to address the issue. It's clear that until the penalties are severe, nothing is likely to change, and you will always have mega corporations taking advantage of loopholes in the system. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please consider dropping a like and subscribing. If you have questions or suggestions for future videos, please leave us a comment. We will read all of your comments. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next one.